Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching Fantavision, and today I am discussing Tales from Retail. That's right. Tales from Retail GameStop edition, as is tradition, and today we're going to be talking about GameStop versus other video game retailers and what the real difference is, because I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what's the difference between GameStop, EB Games, software, etc., all that kind of stuff. And I've covered that a little bit. So I want to dive a bit deeper because I've experienced shopping at other stores and I've worked at a couple others. Well, I've worked at one other store, but I can definitely tell you the experience is drastically different in each store. So let's take a look at what I know. What I know about GameStop and working at stores that sell games and what that customer experience is like and why it's like that and why it's different. Before we jump in, New Belgium Mighty Arrow Pale Ale. It's got a dog running out of a greenhouse. I don't really know what's going on here. There's a whole story about it. 6% alcohol. It's not bad. Not bad. It's okay. So, GameStop, of course, I have talked about ad nauseum. Some people are sick of it. Most people aren't, so that's cool. Basically, small store usually. There are bigger stores that I've been in, and the shopping experience is a bit different at those bigger stores because when you go to GameStop, it's usually a claustrophobic experience where you are directly talking to the associate a lot of the time, unless it's super busy and they're not paying attention to you at all. I mean, it makes sense. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, normally you are talking to the person in the store because the store is about as wide, a little bit wider than this room. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit. It's not that small. Some are, though. I have been in that are that small. And you're just kind of cramped in with all of the stuff coming off the wall, the stuff in the aisles. You're trying to make your way around people if there's anybody in there. You groan if there are other people in there because you know that there's only like one person at the register, and if this person has to trade something in or has a question, you're not going to be able to check out for a solid 10 to 15 minutes after you already know what you want. So it's just an all-around not amazing experience most of the time. Sometimes it's great when there's nobody else in there because then you can have a nice conversation with whoever's working if they know what video games are, and it's kind of a more intimate experience than other stores where you buy games. Because again, you're talking to somebody who should be a gamer and they'll have some input and you can kind of talk about the news, but that's not always the case. Most of the time isn't the case. And that's why I gotta say, the cramped, annoying GameStop experience, I was not gonna grade them. I had no plan besides talking about them. But if we want to give a grade of the shopping experience at GameStop, because you can get things online and you can reserve them, that's pretty cool. And you can do that through an automated system, so you have to talk to anybody on the phone. Because they do have a large selection, because it's about an okay experience about half the time. Their prices have been getting better with sales. However, without sales, their prices, I mean, they're okay. Their games usually, when they get lowered, they don't hold that lower price like a lot of other places. They don't have as many price drops, but because of all that, I'm going to give them a C+. And I know some people might be like, what, you hate GameStop, you shit on all the time. Again, I don't want the company to go away. I hate a lot of the things the company does. I hate how they treat their employees. I hate how they've treated customers in the past with that circle of bullshit. But overall, they have the largest selection of games out there of any of these stores, and it's easier to get what you want from GameStop than anywhere else, especially if you're looking for used stuff. If you're looking for an older game, it's going to be a lot easier to get at GameStop. Even more so than eBay, because sometimes eBay, the shipping time takes a lot longer. The seller sends you something shitty. They're more expensive. Surprisingly, in the used old games department, GameStop actually is kind of the top of the market there. Surprisingly. Like, their prices are crap when it comes to brand new games, But when it comes to the older stuff, and last generation specifically, I mean, you can get 360, PS3 games and stuff like that, dirt cheap. Seriously. Wii U games, I'm seeing them just bomb out. They're just bottoming out these prices because nobody cares about the Wii U. If you have a Wii U and you enjoy it or you collect video games, now is the time to buy. It might sink a little bit lower, but I feel like at some point, it's not old enough to be nostalgic. It'll probably be nostalgic by the next console. But for now, it's just rock bottom prices, and they keep getting lower. So pay attention for when they've got those deals where you get 4 for 10 or 4 for 20. That's a good way to get a lot of old games for cheap. But again, because of the new used games, like the newer released used games, I got to give them that C+. And because of how small those stores are and because of how few people are working. And in fact, you know what? I'm just going to give them a C. I'm going to give them a C. They lose that plus because I remember how many bad experiences I have and how pushy they are. So we're giving them a C. Moving on. EB Games is basically the same thing as GameStop, except for when they don't have the game, instead of having just a green label, they had like some weird label with like a bunch of drawn people that I could never really tell what they were doing. They were kind of freaking out. They had like orange skin. I probably have the picture up right now what I'm talking about if I can find it online. I'm pretty sure it was EB Games that had that. Really weird. That was my experience at least. Never seemed better than GameStop. Seemed about the same. Usually gave about the same trading credit. There's a reason GameStop absorbed it. It was basically the same damn store. So, EB Games, I mean, look at it. It looks exactly the same as GameStop. I know it's really old. I mean, Madden 2005, Halo 2. But that's what it was. GameStop. Software, etc. was very much like GameStop and EB Games, but at least my experiences with this place, I didn't see a whole lot of stores, but they had darker lighting, and I like that. I like that a lot. It wasn't full of fluorescence lighting. They had a more open store. There wasn't as much shit everywhere. You could walk around a lot easier. They sold Magic cards at the time, and that. They didn't sell cards. They didn't sell other stuff at GameStop or EB Games at this time. I mean, maybe they sold Pokemon cards, but I don't remember them selling that kind of stuff. So it was cool to see like Magic cards. I think they had like an area set aside for like PC. And I know GameStop and EB Games did as well, but it was just a nicer, more spread out area for PC. They catered to all crowds, and I noticed that the pricing there was pretty damn good, and they didn't seem to upsell as much. It was a lot more relaxed environment from what I remember. I could easily just browse games. They were happy to help. It was a nice store. At least the one I went to. Again, that's a personal experience. I didn't go to every store in the nation. Maybe you went to one that was full of fluorescence, really annoying people, and it was super cramped. I don't know. But the one I went to, I loved it. It was my favorite of the 3 stores. I had this mall that had all 3 in the same mall. Of course, now you go to that mall and there's only one. Actually, there's another crappy game store in there too. But out of those 3 in that mall, which again, crazy that there's 3 in the mall, I loved Software Etc. the most. I probably went to GameStop more during those times just because they had a bigger selection, GameStop or EB Games, but I would usually take my games to each location to see who gave me the most money. Sometimes it was Software Etc., sometimes it was GameStop, sometimes it was EB Games. I wasn't super picky about the location, but I did prefer Software Etc. just because of the lighting, the environment, and just the selection of products they had, which may not have been as good, but they did have those unique things like the PC area and the Magic cards. Now, if you're buying games at Walmart, or if you're selling games at Walmart, working at Walmart and selling games and buying games from Walmart both suck, because the customers, they do care about your opinions. A lot of the time I was asked, but there's also quite a few people that just want to get their shit and get out because it's Walmart. Nobody likes spending time in Walmart. I feel like that used to be a place where people would hang out, but over the years I've seen more and more people just hate the place as much as I do. And it's not shocking because the lights are beating down on you. They're all locked up, so you have to look for somebody to unlock the damn thing. And half the time there's nobody in electronics, which is weird because when I was in electronics, I was forced to usually stay there. Maybe it was their golden age when I was trying to figure out where people were, but it's always a pain in the ass, especially at night, to get a game at Walmart. Their prices are shittier than GameStop for new games, I gotta say. I was just there the other day and I was looking at games and they were just like so overpriced. At the same time, they also have games that are really underpriced in the clearance. It's really hit or miss there, and they all have those giant plastic cases on them because they don't want them to get stolen. It's just a hassle to buy games there. It's a hassle to sell games there because you're constantly changing out the bargain bin area, and those damn cases barely fit. And then when you're trying to shove them in the spring-loaded things, and it's just a pain in the ass. So I'm gonna give Walmart a D because, God, I just hate I never graded the other two. EB Games, same as GameStop, we'll give it a C. Software Etc. will give it a C+ because I don't think I went there often enough to give it a higher grade. I know that these grades are kind of meaningless. This is like, whose line is it anyway? The grades don't really matter, but I just feel like giving them grades now as I'm making this video. Walmart, D. You know what? I'll give it a D. The only reason it's getting a D, not a D- or an F, is because, like I said, they have had some random game sales. They don't announce them. They don't advertise them. They're just on clearance. It's completely random. Speaking of random clearance, Target. Target has the most random clearance out games in the world. The environment of Target is... It's got the bright-ass lighting like Walmart, but for some reason it just doesn't feel as harsh. There's a lot more color when you're inside of a Target, just kind of the store. The employees don't seem as dead inside, usually. It's a much better atmosphere and vibe of most Targets I've been in. They also accidentally have a lot of ways you can double stack coupons. I mean, I've gotten so many games for so much cheaper than they should have been at Target. And that's awesome. That's great. There have been the people that I like to call defenders of Target, SBS, and I call them the Adam as well, call them the defenders of Target because they'll stick to that staunch rule of you can't double stack coupons even if the computer's making it work. Most Targets don't care because they're being paid minimum wage. They're going, wow, you got a great deal, good for you, get out of my store. And that's great, that's fine. It provides a great, customer experience. They lost a little money, but I still go to Target occasionally just to look around at the clearance, and sometimes I'll just buy some stuff there just because I'm there, and I don't feel like going to Walmart. And there's this saying that Target, you spend a little bit more just so you don't have to go to Walmart. And that's totally true. I've probably spent more at Target when I grocery shop sometimes just so I don't have to go to Walmart because I hate Walmart. Target also has an amazing selection of LaCroix. I know that has nothing to do with video games, and we'll get back to that right now. So they've got that random clearance area. They've got an area. Some of the places aren't marked very well in Target. They've got games that look like they're in a budget area, but they haven't really been marked down very much. They just don't have a price tag, and you have to go scan it and figure out what the hell it is. There's a lot of times the clearance section is just a mess of like cell phone accessories, video games, Blu-rays, DVDs, CDs, and you're digging for the good deals. And I haven't really gotten too many great deals on clearance. I've seen a ton of great deals on Cheap Ass Gamer that guy's getting. I don't know what the hell Target he goes to, but that is a phenomenal location. I'm seeing these crazy games for dirt cheap all the time. And like I said, basically the only great deals I've gotten from Target were during the ages of double stacking coupons, and usually that was through Target Cartwheel because I'm not even like stacking multiple coupons. I'm usually using the Cartwheel and price matching. And they let me do it. They usually didn't care. Sometimes they did care and they don't let you do it. But most of the time, they're like, whatever, great deal, good job. So that was awesome. So I'll give Target a solid B, just because they do have disorganization problems. But I know from Eric working there, it's not that bad of a place to work. So that's cool. Give him big props for that. And also their music doesn't want to make me kill myself usually. I don't really recall music ever being played, which is honestly what every store should do. Have no music, because your music selection is awful, and what is popular is probably awful. All right, so Target gets a solid B, just due to those crazy deals that pop up occasionally and the okay atmosphere. It's okay. It's better than Walmart. Walmart set a very low bar, so you're going to be hearing it's better than Walmart. I mean, GameStop is better than Walmart. So, moving on to some stores that don't really exist anymore. Toys R Us. Toys R Us is a shit show. Toys R Us, the prices are high, the games are locked up. Ah, man, I don't think I've seen a single great deal. No, that's not true. I've seen very few good deals at Toys R Us for games, but most of the time, the only reason I was ever going to Toys R Us was for like an amiibo that was only there. Besides that, a lot of the Toys R Us's I've seen, I mean, it was popular in like the 90s and early 2000s, and it feels like the damn store has not been renovated since the the late 90s, early 2000s. It feels like you're stepping back in time. I mean, it's just a dirty looking building. The inside isn't much better. The organization is just weird. It's not a place you want to buy video games. It's definitely a toy store. And even when they were shutting down the damn company, the deals really weren't that good until like the very end. And even then, I think they just like sold them to another company. At least they did with the Nintendo games, if I remember correctly. But just not that great of a deal. I just don't like the store. There's screaming kids. That's a huge negative. That's another thing about Walmart you have to deal with a lot. Screaming kids. It also has that terrible lighting, just like Walmart and Target. Target, again, for some reason, it doesn't feel as bad. Toys R Us retains that warehouse feeling a little bit just because of how big those buildings usually are and how decrepit they usually are. And they're never in really that great of a part of town. I know I just keep going on about Toys R Us, but I gotta give them a D as well. Not almost a D minus, even almost lower than Walmart, just because they don't even have that like random flash sale. So I can't. There's no excitement about Toys R Us. I've never been excited to go to Toys R Us since I was like a little kid. And I get it's a place for little kids, but you can at least have some sales on games. Just doesn't happen. So D minus. Not great. Not an F, because they do sell games and you can purchase these games. They're not completely out of reach, and they have had occasional, very rare deals. So we'll give them a solid D minus. Good job. KB Toys, man, it's hard to remember KB Toys because I really didn't go that often when I was older. In fact, I don't think I ever did. There was never a reason to set foot in that store. It's cramped, it's bright, it's full of children. They got like very limited selection of games. I don't remember any good sales at all. Maybe this is the place that gets the F. I think that's the place that gets the F. I don't remember anything good about KB Toys. There's a reason it's gone. Good riddance. I'm sorry if this was a place from your childhood. It was from mine as well. I bought a lot of crap there, but it was crap. I don't really have any of it anymore. Really not a great store. Always disorganized. Just, it's coming back to me. Toys all over the floor. People pushing the buttons on all those toys that make noise, and that's just constant because of how many kids are in there. Even when I was a little kid, I was like, there's too many kids in here. And anyway, they get an F. KB Toys gets an F. Circuit City was a pretty damn good store, actually. That was the old Best Buy of video games. Circuit City had so many great sales on games. It had a giant PC collection. I was always really hyped to look through that weekly ad. It was one of the ads I really enjoyed. And then later, well, it was usually Best Buy and Circuit City that I was looking through. I'm trying to remember more about Circuit City because I feel like it was so long ago. I remember getting a lot of good deals. I remember being excited to go there. I remember liking it a lot, getting a lot of PC games, getting some console games. But because my memory has faded a bit, I'm gonna give it a C. Just to be... Again, the grades don't matter. You guys can get angry or whatever. I'm giving Circuit City a C. And I also remember... Here's a memory that I have from there. I bought Dark Messiah of Might and Magic for the PC. And that was the first time I installed Steam. And I was like, what? I hated Steam back then. I mean, it wasn't like a huge deal, but it was just annoying. I was like, God, I gotta download this launcher for this game? Why can't I just play the game? What the hell? All times have changed now, right? How many launchers do we have? But that was an interesting one. Also from Circuit City, I remember I was waiting for my parents to pick out a TV or something like that. So I just kind of wandered over to the laptop section and I played that Rocket Man pinball game. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? On the old, I think it was XP that had it. Pretty sure it was Windows XP that had that pinball game. So much fun. I played so much of that game and I never really got bored. I just kept playing the pinball game where they were looking at TVs and stuff. We were there forever. But they are also getting a C because I remember a lot of their employees do work on commission. So they're kind of pushy when it comes to TVs and stereo systems and stuff like that. So they're in computers. They're a little annoying. They're a little sketchy there because they do have people working on commission. But they usually had pretty cool movies on. Speaking of movies, there's a store you might not have heard of. It's called Ultimate Electronics. Ultimate Electronics was a beast of a store. My God. That store was huge. And it's probably my favorite electronics store that has ever been. And they had some damn good deals. They had buy one, get one 50% off with brand new titles that just came out. I think it was all new games. It was crazy. Buy one, get one 50% off. And then they had occasionally just people outside giving out hot dogs and stuff. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'll take a free hot dog. That's awesome. And sometimes they just had burgers. Sometimes they just had random food outside. And it was all free. It was just free. They give you hot dog, some soda. I went in with my buddy. Sometimes my buddy and I would go there during high school. And we would go there for fun. Like, I know you're like, Fanta, you're a loser. I get that. But you would go too because you're going there. You know that there might be free food. And most of the time we went there was. And there were couches set up around TVs with game consoles that were set up. And you could play like the newest PS3 games that were out during the time. So I was playing like Mod Nation Racers. I was playing Little Big Planet. And while eating a hot dog and drinking my free soda. It was like going to the arcade, but free. Speaking of arcades, they had arcade machines that had all those like games on it. One of those multi 100 game arcade systems. And they were all set up and there were a bunch of them. You could screw around in there for hours. And also, to top it off, they had this area. It was the home theater area. And they had like 3 really nice TVs and a really nice couch. Actually, you know what? They had like TV, and I think a projection. It was either a really big TV or a projection. Doesn't matter. You go in a separate room so you don't hear the outside. There's no distractions. And there's this really comfy couch in there. And they're playing the same movie in all 3 TVs. But of course, they're only using that one sound system. So it's really not distracting at all. And I used to sit in there with them and a couple other friends, and we would just watch a movie. Because you could watch a movie in there. It was usually new movies that just came out. You could watch a new release movie with the free food you got from outside. Sometimes they had popcorn. You know what? Actually, no, they had a popcorn maker in that area because they sold those like full-size popcorn makers. They had one set up so you could eat popcorn while you're walking around the store. I think, didn't Target used to do that? I think they sell it. They sold it. This place was giving it away for free. There's a reason this place doesn't exist anymore. We'll get there. And you could sit in there and you could just watch movies and eat popcorn or eat hot dogs or whatever you got from outside for free. It was just a phenomenal store. Too bad the guy that owned it was a scam artist and was basically opening these businesses and then bankrupting them, and he was somehow making money from doing this. I don't know. But you know what? I gotta give a solid A to this store. Why? Because there's this one time where my buddy, now this was their fault, but the way they handled it was crazy. My buddy got Little Big Planet 2, I think. Yeah, Little Big Planet 2 Collector's Edition. And they didn't have the proper stock for it. And they felt really bad. They're like, we don't have any in stock. We don't have another store nearby. So they called up Best Buy across town, because the Best Buy nearby didn't even have one. They called the Best Buy across town. The guy said, will you wait here? Do you want to come back? And we're like, well, we'll hang out, because we hung out there a lot. The guy drove all the way to Best Buy to buy a Little Big Planet 2 Collector's Edition and brought it back and gave him, because he'd already paid it off. And they didn't have the copy. Now, of course, that's their fault for not having enough copies. But the fact that they went to a competitor's store and bought a copy just so my friend could have his copy, that's insane. What's also more insane is the guy got in a car accident on the way back. He's fine. It was just a fender bender. It was his fault, though, because I think he was on the phone. But it was just crazy to me. And they had these deals. I think I bought World of Warcraft Cataclysm from them because they gave you a free strategy guide. And it's just insane. All these different things. They gave you crazy pre-order bonuses. What a wonderful store. Too bad it was owned by some scummy guy that was screwing stuff up. And even if that's not the case, and even if that was just like some urban legend around here, it just sucks it's gone. It was a wonderful store. I almost want to give it an A+. So many great experiences at the store. I loved it. It was a fun place to hang out, and it was a great place to shop. So, you know what? I'm going to give him an A+. A+ to Ultimate Electronics. Rest in peace, Ultimate Electronics. Here's one for Ultimate Electronics. I'm not going to pour it on my carpet. Sorry if you can hear my roommate, by the way. Just making really weird noises and being really loud, because every single person that plays Apex Legends has to yell for some reason. I don't know why. Best Buy is the best and worst place to buy video games right now. What do I mean by that? Well, okay, it's not the worst. That's a bit overdramatic. It's the best and most mediocre place to buy video games right now. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you've got GCU right now, it is the king of places to buy video games. There's no reason to buy video games anywhere else. If you have Gamers Club unlocked, you're getting 20% off all new games. Doesn't matter if it's a recent release like Amazon. You don't just get a gift card, but you do, if you pre-order specific games, you get $10 and that 20% off. It's just, there's no reason to buy games anywhere else. I mean, I can't think of a single place that has, I mean, you can't top it. If another place has it on sale, usually Best Buy does too, and then because it's on sale and you get that 20% off, you can't lose. It's a phenomenal place to buy games right now. However, when you're in store, if you don't know what you're doing, this doesn't really affect me unless I'm looking for a game and I can't find it. Which, by the way, the organization is garbage for the video games in that store. I usually don't have to deal with it because I'm buying their games online and shipping to my house and have to go there. But if you're buying games in the store, half the time, I don't know how the hell they organize it. It's in alphabetical order. No, barely is it in alphabetical order. And even then, the way they have it organized, where they have it like the games are coming forward in alphabetical order and you try to flip through the tabs, I mean, those are messed up most of the time. It's just annoying. Look at what GameStop is doing and do that. For once, do something that GameStop is doing. Do it by the spine. It makes so much more sense to me. Maybe it can hold more with it that way. It just makes it a pain in the ass to find what you're looking for. Also, if you're looking for a specific game, it takes forever. You have to find somebody. Half the time, more than half the time, there's nobody in the video game area. You kind of have to look around for an employee. Sometimes you can't find one in the store. You're like, what is happening? Where are the people in the store? Does anybody work in this store? What do I do? So you kind of look around for someone. You finally find them. They check the system. If they have it and they don't have it on the floor and they can't find it on the floor, they have to check the back. And when they check the back, it takes forever and usually don't find it. So it's just a mess when you're trying to find the damn game that you want to get if for some reason. And they're really bad about new releases, I've noticed a lot. I remember when I went to buy Resident Evil 7 there, they didn't even bring the games out yet. They were still sealed up in the boxes in the back. Did nobody else ask about Resident Evil 7? This was like at 4 p.m. the day of launch. Did nobody ask for this game? Did they open a box and then forget the rest of the boxes in the back and not replenish their stock? It doesn't make sense. And now they're doing this stupid thing with paper, so you really can't tell if they have it in stock. They're just making it more difficult. I haven't seen this at every Best Buy, but some Best Buys don't have the game in the security cases anymore. They just have a piece of paper printed out, usually in black and white, that's great, of the game. So I can't look at the back, I can't look at more information. And I understand that most of the time I do research. You're supposed to do research on games you're buying. Sometimes I like to impulse buy cheap games, but if it's a black and white printed out piece of paper, what a pain in the ass. And for the average customer that isn't like me, that religiously researches things before they buy it, they're going to have a hell of a time trying to figure out what game their kid wants, and their kid's not going to be able to decide stuff. Just stupid. So they've got that problem, but they have killer sales. They've got 20% off if you've got GCU. But let's look at the world without GCU. I'm not gonna have to worry about that for another year or two because of a wonderful fan. I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but cheers to him. I accidentally hit the microphone. I get to use his phone number. He's gonna get all the points, and I'm going to get the discount. Awesome. That's fine. Enjoy all the points you get. But looking at Best Buy, even without the Gamers Club unlocked, it usually has the best sales. That being said, GameStop sometimes does beat them, crazy enough. They do have some crazy sales sometimes at GameStop recently. Maybe they're trying to recoup all that money and bring back customers since they're going down the shitter. But it's competition. It's competition right now. There's no more GCU. There's no more GCU. There's no more reason to just say, hey, only buy from Best Buy because you get GCU. There's no reason to buy at GameStop because of GCU. But GameStop is also starting to do the same thing with a $10 rewards gift certificate, or whatever you want to call it, $10 voucher to another game if you pre-order certain games. I don't know how many games they're doing it for. I don't really pay attention to GameStop most of the time because, again, I have GCU. But that's some serious competition with Best Buy if they're really trying to sell games. I know Best Buy probably doesn't care nearly as much as GameStop, obviously, but now that they don't have GCU, they're open to being hit. And with GCU, Best Buy was an easy A+. I'll give it an A. Their customer service isn't amazing. The people that work there are usually fine. It's a pain in the ass because of all the reasons I've already given it. I'm not going to repeat myself. So we'll give it an A just based on prices. But nowadays, it's probably a B. Solid B. Because they do have a lot of great deals. And pretty regularly good deals. And they still have that $10 coupon for pre-ordering certain games. So that's cool. You still get that sort of savings. And for people like me that still have the Gamers Club unlocked, we're good. We're good. That's awesome. I need to double check to see when that expires because I just realized it's February and I think that's when mine expires. So I need to pre-order everything on my own account. So that about sums up all the different electronic places I can think of. If I missed anywhere, let me know. If I missed somewhere, It may be your local place, and I've never been there. I've never heard of it. Fry's Electronics, I've never been there. Kmart, never really been there. I think I've been in a Fry's Electronics once. I don't remember it being a good experience. Yeah, I can't really think of anywhere else. Babbage's or whatever. I don't know. I'm not that old. There's some other game places. Play and Trade, if you guys have heard of that. That's like a California thing only now. Play and Trade was okay. It did have that darker lighting. Prices were just awful. The trading credit wasn't great. Play and Trade was great for a little bit of time, very small amount of time when I had one nearby. I could bring pocket change in and buy N64 games. That was great. But then they started charging an arm and a leg for everything, and it was way overpriced. So Play and Trade we'll give that a C. We'll give it a C. Sometimes the employees were kind of dicks, but they did have this cool thing where you could kind of try out any game you wanted. They had stations set up, so you'd be like, I've never played that game, and you could try it out. We'll give them a C+. We'll give them a C+ for that, and because of those deals where you could just buy N64 games for pocket change for a while, which was awesome, and I did that. And way back when, you guys will never watch these videos, but on dead channels, my 16, 17-year-old self was reviewing N64 games. Maybe I was even younger than that. I might have been younger. I don't remember how old I was, but it did create some good memories, and it was even smaller than GameStop, surprisingly. So I think that's it. I think that's all the electronic stores. I know it's a really interesting, weird, very different Tales from Retail. But again, I want your ideas for the next GameStop episode. This one was an idea from you guys. I don't remember the specific comment. I might start keeping track of that, but I think I had a couple people say this, so it's not like one specific person. I do want to start a new series called Rate Your GameStop. I know it's a random idea. I was just thinking about it the other day. I was like, I've talked about my different locations and what that was like, because somebody in the Discord was like, hey, you haven't done different locations. I'm like, I have, but that gives me an idea. So what I'm thinking is take pictures or video of the inside and outside of your GameStop in your local area and send it to me. And you can tell me, like, hey, if you want to get credit for it, I'll put your YouTube or whatever you want, your Twitter, at the bottom of the video or picture, and I'll review your GameStop. I just thought that would be a fun idea. It'd be a great way to interact with you guys. It'd be cool to see what all the different GameStops look like, because really every GameStop, now that I think about it, looks completely different. I mean, sure, there's still the basic marketing and people inside that are pushy, but the design of it, the way it's laid out, and the location, so maybe like record what's around it. I think that'd be fun to see a theme of stuff near it. I've noticed like haircut places and GNCs for a while. I don't know if those still exist even, but there used to be like health places, haircut places, and there was like one other thing that was always next to GameStop. It was the weirdest thing. So let me know in the comments if you guys are interested in that. I think that would be a really cool series, and it'd be really interesting to see all of the different GameStops. Not even just GameStops, like EB Games in Canada, whatever your local equivalent chain GameStop-like place is like. I'd love to review it. If you can get away with recording it, if you can get away with pictures, try to be subtle. I know they're not a huge fan of it. I'm not telling you to do anything illegal. I don't think it's illegal. No, it's not illegal to film in a store. That's stupid. Just try to get away with it. And I think that'd be a really cool series. Thanks for watching, everyone. I know this was a super long episode. Thanks for sticking with me. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed it. And as always, have a fantastic day. Oh, and comment what your favorite place to buy video games is. Probably Amazon, right? This video went on way longer than I meant it to. Oh, it needed to be shorter. Like, I don't have time for a video to be this long. I gotta shoot like 2 more videos after this. Oh god. I'm either gonna do I don't know if I have time. I was gonna do a beer review or something to make up for the fact that the podcast is going to be delayed by about a week because I'm not gonna be here for this weekend, which is normally when I shoot the Back to the Futon podcast. But hopefully that 3-hour long podcast will hold you guys over. Hopefully all the videos I schedule out, including this one. Right now I'm not even in the same state. Oh, you know what? I'm coming back to the same. I'm not in the same state right now. But hope you guys enjoy the vlog that'll be coming out to Patreon. I don't have time to edit it this week, but next week I'll definitely have time. So I'm gonna start putting up the vlog. I might vlog going to Ohio. I vlogged going to Phoenix and the conference a little bit that I went to. I'm trying to get better at it. It's gonna be kind of like a beta test in the Patreon. So it's gonna be a Patreon only thing. Everybody $1 and up. I don't want to like I want as many people to be able to watch as possible in Patreon. So it's gonna be $1 and up. Even if you're a $1 patron, you get to watch it. People voted for a beer review. So like I said, I'm gonna try to get that up soon. It'll definitely happen this month. I don't know if it's gonna happen I guess last week, but I don't know. We'll see.